A solid case can be made that Spider-Man is not only the most popular superhero ever created, but also the greatest ever conceived. Unfortunately, the current-day handlers are intent on saddling his mythology with a redundant teen replicant, and generally shoddy treatment for the hero himself. Stick around to find out what the hell I'm talking about. Greetings all, my name is Kontrol. I'm a veteran gamer with a knack for drawing. You're watching the latest in a series of gaming pinup videos, so if you enjoy the show, think about hitting the like button on your way out and subscribe for more. Are you a fan of Miles Morales? Maybe you think Miles is a vital cog in the Spider-Man storytelling machine who absolutely deserves his recent PlayStation 5 spin-off game from super developer Insomniac. That won't do it all. But here at Kontrol Incorporated, we can help.
The problem is treatable when it's caught early.
Don't worry, it's just that Miles is a terrible character and an ongoing detriment to the Spider-Man mythology. This is a matter of scientific fact. Look it up.
Let's see. Yeah, that checks out.
Alright, with that established, all that's required is a very old fan of Spider-Man to make his case for the permanent removal of Miles Morales from the Marvel canon. And so then, greetings all, my name is Kontrol. I'm a very old fan of Spider-Man who is pulling rank and trashing his awful teen knockoff. If you enjoyed the show, think about hitting the like button on your way out and subscribe for more.
Get him!
Now, I get the feeling this might be a controversial comics fan topic, judging by the sudden increase in gunfire and Molotov cocktails raining down on my office.
It does seem to be more than usual.
How you holding up, buddy?
Nothing I can't handle.
Give 'em hell.
Oh, they have no idea.
There is one big inherent problem when you introduce a new character into an established superhero universe.
You shall not pass.
When the newcomer has basically the same abilities as the main character. This new arrival has instantly removed a layer of uniqueness from the main hero by their very presence. This isn't automatically a huge issue, since typically the new character is an antagonist to the hero. A simple and effective concept of having to overcome an enemy who can match your moves is solid enough to justify the recycling of the superpowers.
I see. So the double should only show up if he intends to destroy the hero and then take Lois back with him to Bizarro World, right?
Not necessarily. The clone character can be tolerable and even lovable if they're different enough from the main hero to not be actually mistaken for them on sight, like Supergirl or X-23. Faith, the Vampire Slayer, she worked on balance as Buffy's friend and eventual nemesis with the help of solid casting and a well-calculated character arc. Under no circumstances should they arrive and be stronger than the main hero. The most important thing is to never diminish the standing of the star character. One of the reasons I can't stand Green Lantern is he exists in a fictional universe where there are so many of him, all of whom wear variations of the exact same costume.
And jewelry.
If we were to one day discover that 00s 1 through 6 all looked and behaved exactly like James Bond, it would suck all the coolness out of him.
Even more than casting Daniel Craig.
Okay, don't you think we've pissed off enough people already for one video?
Fine, whatever. We'll get to you one day, Craig.
Miles Morales' biggest problem is the hero he's daring to mimic. It's no small deal in pop culture mythology to put on a Spidey suit and start swinging through the skies of New York City, if you ain't Peter Parker. Contrary to what someone who only knows Spider-Man from his brief and pathetic appearance in Avengers Endgame might think, he's the biggest superhero ever, an American institution in his own right. Spider-Man was commanding billion-dollar box office returns, animated TV shows, and profitable merchandise years before Jon Favreau had the genius idea of putting Robert Downey Jr. in the Iron Man suit.
Are you sure that man isn't the biggest superhero ever? He's done all that stuff too, right?
Am I drawing Batman right now?
Oh, so that's how it works.
I know Spider-Man has been treated carelessly by a horde of writers, editors, and Hollywood producers for a couple of decades now. So much so that I don't even consider any post-2000 comics canon, especially anywhere the name Bendis appears. So it was a real treat to play Insomniac's Spider-Man game back in 2019, which seemed to get the essence of Spider-Man's wise guy personality and abilities on point, along with extremely good graphics and game mechanics. It wasn't perfect though. It had a version of Mary Jane, seemingly primarily based on Lois Lane for some reason. It had a pointless melodramatic ending, and worst of all, it had Miles Morales.
Are you bussing in people who agree with you again?
Insomniac's Miles is the worst possible incarnation of the character. Most non-comic book fans were likely introduced to Miles in the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where his physical appearance gave every impression of a scrappy, wide-eyed kid the audience would be guaranteed to root for, but not likely to be mistaken for an adult Peter Parker in costume. The PlayStation 4 Miles is a bland-looking doofus who could easily pass for a guy in his mid-20s. Insomniac are true heavyweights in producing game visuals, but their Miles barely even resembles his more interesting-looking face model. I'll concede this one point is highly subjective, but if they just had to have this character in the game, I wish they'd taken more cues from the Into the Spider-Verse design while maintaining the more realistic aesthetic of their game.
Hey, so the Into the Spider-Verse Miles is actually not so bad then.
I guess he's well realized if you accept him as his own original character, which is possible because he's presented there as an alternate universe successor to the first Spider-Man. The real Spider-Man of our reality is and always will be Peter Parker. While I think Miles is a bad idea even in his original alternate reality form, his presence in the Ultimate Marvel Universe was understood to be partitioned off, and thus tolerable. Unfortunately, current-day Marvel Comics editors are drawn to terrible ideas like Moths to Flame, so it wasn't long before Miles joined the proper Marvel Universe as the comic book world's most pointless redundancy. A spare Spider-Man in case the city is ever fresh out. I was mildly depressed when I saw Insomniac was giving Miles his own game.
A spin-off for the knockoff.
And actually annoyed when it was revealed and showed Miles swinging through the city looking virtually indistinguishable from Peter in costume. Famously solo superhero Spider-Man now has a canonical double fighting crime in his city. Not only are his iconic abilities no longer unique, but his look and very identity.
Maybe Sony thinks having two Spider-Mans is better than one. By the time they're done, there'll be a Spidey on every rooftop in the city. Worldwide webs. You get a Spidey. You get a Spidey.
That idea is so bad it would probably give Marvel editors an orgasm.
I'm available for freelance gigs, Marvel.
Anyway, I decided to draw a version of Spider-Man that preceded Marvel's ongoing effort to destroy the character. It is the black suit Spider-Man that made its first appearance back in the glorious 80s during the Secret Wars.
How do you have a war in secret?
Just have all the fighting in Chicago. People will just assume it's Saturday.
I see.
The story behind Spider-Man's black costume and how it eventually became his arch-villain Venom is so long and complicated, it's been necessarily altered in every Venom origin story that's appeared in movies and TV shows since. If I weren't so busy complaining about Miles Morales, I could have devoted the commentary of this video to that. But instead, whatever this is happened.
You could have just drawn Miles Morales, you know.
I suppose, if I were at gunpoint. But last week I remembered a Spider-Man cover that showed up not long after the debut of the black costume by legendary workhorse artist John Byrne. It was one of the real standout visual presentations of the suit, so much so that Byrne himself has done a couple of different versions of it over the years by fan request. The shot is all about stark high contrast, so I went against the normal routine and decided to use ink, just like a real grown-up. An exercise that proved I need more exercise, at least where inking is concerned. I'm honestly not sure how I feel about the final result, although I'm reasonably sure it's not a complete disaster. An A for effort, maybe? I don't know. That's completely up to you, the viewer. And of course you get a gold star and fabulous prizes for having made it to the end of this video. Hopefully it wasn't nearly the struggle inking this bad boy was, but thank you so much for watching. Feel free to tell me why I'm off base about Miles in the comments, and hit the like button if this wasn't a complete abuse of your valuable time.